Welcome to the Puritan and Reformed audiobook podcast. Today we're going to read some words of John Owen on his sermon called They That Wait Upon the Lord, and the sermon is called Spiritual Strength. It's Reality, Decay, and Renovation, preached January 9th, 1672. It is taken from the verse, Isaiah 40, verse 31, But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. John Owen says, what is it to wait upon God? How is it that we may increase our spiritual strength? By waiting upon God. There are 3 or 4 things in waiting upon God that make up waiting, for it is a peculiar kind and work of faith that is called waiting. And if you will read the Scriptures, you will find that there is not a duty or exercise of faith which has greater or more precious promises annexed to it than this of waiting. First, the first thing in waiting is looking to God, eyeing of God. So David expresses it in the Psalms, as the eyes of servants look to the hand of their masters, and as the eyes of a maiden to the hand of her mistress, so our eyes wait upon the Lord our God. God expresses it by looking. Look unto me, all ye ends of the earth. In the morning will I direct my prayer to thee, saith David, and will look up. Now this looking to God, which is the foundation of waiting, is a fixing of the soul towards God, as when we look upon a thing, we make it the object of our consideration and bend our thoughts towards it. If we would wait upon God, we must be in the actings of our faith, looking towards Him. That is, we must consider His goodness, the excellency of Christ, His promises, and His truth and faithfulness in them, and His power. We must be in the contemplation of these things if we intend to wait upon God. Number 2, the second thing is patience in looking. Sometimes it is called patient waiting, waiting patiently for the Lord, not to faint, not to be weary. Many a one will cast a look towards God, but is quickly weary. That is not waiting. But he that will wait on God is to do it in patience, against all discouragements and oppositions that may arise from our own hearts and temptations. When God doesn't come in as we desire, nor such a progress is made as we would have, yet if we look to God, that is patient waiting. Number 3, there is expectation too, and this is the life and soul of waiting. Waiting is often expressed in the Scriptures by silence. My soul is silent to God, which silence is a quiet waiting to hear what God will answer. It is a wondrous sorry waiting on God when we do not expect something from Him. To come together in the performance of this or the like duties without expectation of receiving something from God, it is a way to go as we came, without strength renewed or increased. We come to a duty and go from it at the same rate, when we have no expectation of receiving from God. Where there is no expectation, there is no waiting. Look to God with expectation to receive things suitable to what we expect, and then we shall see His infinite bounty and goodness. This is waiting on God. The way in which we exercise this grace is by prayer. I do not put it wholly upon this, for acting of faith, quiet submission of soul, constant looking up in expectation in the course of walking before God make up a great part of this duty, but the solemn discharge of this duty is by prayer, in which we act all these things. We ought to pray always, and to continue in prayer, and we are the strangest kind of creatures upon the earth if we abide in this duty without expectation from God. A man that looks for nothing from God had best never pray more. In prayer we are to exercise this grace of waiting upon God. They that thus wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Whence is it that the renewing and increase of spiritual strength depend upon our waiting on God? There is not anything in this world in which we are more concerned, next to the securing our interest in Jesus Christ, than this one thing of renewing our strength, our spiritual strength. Especially it is of great concern to us now, when it is a time, as has been confessed to God, in which there are great decays, visible decays in most professors, and inward decays I fear in all. Therefore it is our duty to consider how we may improve this great duty. For this end, to renew strength, to strengthen the things that are ready to die, that you and I that are weak may be strong, that are dead may be quickened and live, that our graces may be lively and flourishing. Saith the Lord, they that wait upon me shall renew their strength. They shall do so upon a double assurance first, upon a moral assurance, by reason of the faithfulness of God in his covenant. God has promised it, and we may really believe it because of God's promise. They that wait upon me shall renew their strength. If we wait upon God in that way, he accepts and approves. He is faithful to do it. And on this account, we may truly say, and we really believe this, that no person under heaven waits on God as he ought, but God does renew spiritual strength to him. He revives his graces, strengthens his faith and love, and enables him to obedience as he has promised. Secondly, it is a way that God has appointed for us to draw supplies of spiritual grace and strength from him. Our judgment and our dignity are not like those of the Chaldeans that proceeded of themselves, Habakkuk 1:7, but our judgment and dignity are of another, God in Christ. All is from Christ. Our strength and honor are all from another. There must be a way, therefore, in which we may derive strength from another, since it is not from ourselves. Now this is a way that God has appointed for us to derive supplies of spiritual strength from Jesus Christ, in whom are all the springs and stores of it. It is by waiting upon God in the ways before mentioned, in a way of looking, of patience, of expectation on God in Christ, that he will perform his promise. God has made this way of communicating strength to us and deriving strength from Jesus Christ. Abide in me, saith Christ. If ye abide not in me, you can do nothing. But if ye abide in me, you shall be branches that shall be purged and bring forth fruit. Our abiding in Christ is by this exercising of faith upon God in Christ, in which spiritual strength is renewed to us. I might speak of those things that are subordinate to this, because by this way of waiting upon God, we mix his promises with faith, which God has appointed. But I should then transgress my purpose and take up your time. I have spoken these words to direct you and myself to the true use of this duty, that we have so frequent opportunities for, that none of us may rest in the work done, or satisfy ourselves that we have been at such a duty so often, so long, but improve it to its proper end, which is waiting on God in times of backsliding, that we may renew our strength, the consequence whereof is in the next words. We shall then mount up with wings as eagles. We shall run and not be weary, and we shall walk and not faint.